Today, there's going to be a Cosmic Crucible tournament, which is going to be featuring not only KNULL, but the new season rules for season 14. Joining with me today is the two-time reigning champ, Dorky Bad. You're terrible.
I'll see you on the battlefield.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So I think a lot of people are going to want to watch this because absolutely, there's going to be KNULL gameplay. There's going to be the new season 14. And a lot of people have been talking that they extended this season, and I don't think that's true. What they did is there's going to be an Ultimate 32 next week. Explain what Ultimate 32 is.
Yeah, Ultimate 32 seems to be the new sort of Crucible event they're using to space out Crucible seasons, where it's a 5 battles in 1 week, 3 stages, and they like to give away these sort of vanity rewards, depending on how highly you rank. Last time we got the Living Tribunal portrait. It seems just to be kind of a nice little change to the regular Crucible schedule.
Yeah, and I think that this was bugged last time, but I think it was somewhat well received. And we're going to go over the 3 room rules for the Ultimate 32, which is going to be 3 of the room rules for season 14, which is going to be on the Creator Cosmic Crucible tournament that is going to be on Twitch, probably right when you're watching this video. If you're watching this video, it's probably live right now on Twitch. And then you also will get the drops, the 700 power cores if you do all that stuff. So where do we want to start on this? The room rules are strong. How do I explain that? There's been room rules in the past that were nothing burgers. That is not the case for the next season at all. So why don't we just go into the test server, because rooms 1, 3, and 4 are going to be for next week's Ultimate 32 tournament, right?
Yep, 2 birds, 1 stone.
Okay. Where do we start? Glass cannon?
Room 1.
All right. So room 1 typically has some sort of modification based off of your ISO class. So we're always having to play around with room 1 with this, whether it's striker or raider. This one seems to lean into striker and fortifier. Get ready. This is a big one. On defense and offense, striker characters spawn with safeguard. Gain 90% max health. Oof. Gain 100% damage. Oof. Spawn with 5 death proof. And then fortifiers spawn with taunt. So we talked about this at length. Talk about I think there's 4 key characters here that might be impactful. Give it a go. What are you doing? What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, you got to do a safeguard. You got to do a death proof. So we want anti-safeguard. That'd be Ares Apocalypse. We want to do a death proof. A bunch of people can flip buffs, and we want our characters to go fast. Because if an enemy striker has 90% less life, and you can go before them and flip their buffs, that target is just done with, right? So we got characters like Kahori. We have teams like the Immortal X-Men that are going to be very interesting here, because they're also going to stop the second part of this room, fortifiers spawning with taunt. I'm going to be using Superior 6 here, because Superior 6, lots of speed bar on spawn. Green Goblin goes first. He flips buffs. He hits multiple times, so he actually kill you right through your death proof. And I got to pair him with Ares, because Ares is going to be stopping the safeguard. So that's the problem. Deal with safeguard, deal with buff flips, go first.
Yep. And then there is one other character that could be a problem here, and that would be Endgame Thanos. Talk about that for a second.
Yeah, so with Endgame Thanos losing 90% of his max life, let's say he has 10 million life. I'm not sure if that's exactly correct. Well, then in this match, he's only going to have 1,000 max life, and any sort of damage to him would push him to his passive, which would rain down, would strip safeguard, strips all the death proof, strip everything. That's what his passive does, right? That decay effect. And with the 100% extra damage, it would annihilate you. But he's pretty good in a lot of rooms this season.
Yeah, okay, so I think the 4 main characters to keep in mind in this room are going to be Ares Apocalypse, Kahori, and Endgame Thanos. I think that's the 4 things that you're going to be worried about, right? And then whether or not Immortals can take care of that, whether or not Starjammers can take care of that, whether or not Cabal, those type of situations. But in general, those 4 characters, I was sold on putting Ares, and then you convinced me of this type of team right here, which is going to be Talk about, this is your idea here. I was set on putting Ares on defense and maybe using Apoc Kahori on offense is my tentative plan. Talk about what this team does right here.
Well, this team is great because we have Fortifier Lizard. He's going to spawn in with Taunt. They're going to have Safeguard because Kraven gives Safeguard to everybody. Ares will strip the enemy Safeguard. Goblin, he gets 36% speed bar because of the Superior 6 members. His ultimate hits 3 times. It flips buffs. It rewinds the enemies. So even if it doesn't kill non-strikers, it steps up Kraven and Slayer to come in and clean up. But this is an old stat team, right? So we'll see how, this crazy Goblin is going to be reacting to new stat characters with that 100% damage buff.
In Ultimate 32, this is not going to be the right team.
No. There's so many more options.
No, this is not. This is going to be for a 6-man. But in Ultimate 32, you're going to have to do something quite a bit bigger here. Something chunkier, more impactful, because I think in Ultimate 32, you're just going to run over something like this with, let's say, Immortals, right? So that's what's going to happen. All right. Let's go. So that is the first room for Ultimate 32, and that will also be the first room in next season 14. We're going to skip over to the Toxic room, which is going to be the second room inside of the Ultimate 32, which will be starting at the end of this week. On defense and offense, on that turn, attack self for 15% of that character's max health. This damage reduces the max health of the character by the same amount. Now, we do have this kind of mechanic currently in game with Mephisto, right? Explain how that works between battle to battle, because that has been bugged, correct? And we're wondering if this is going to be bugged as well, right?
Yeah.
Because this was an issue, right?
Yeah, we're not sure if that bug was fixed or not because it stopped being an issue when Night Stalkers came to the game. But essentially what was happening is anytime Mephisto applied the max health damage, max health is that when damage happens, you cannot heal past that, right?
Right.
Mephisto has that. Omega Red Phoenix Force has that. New Professor X has it. Now this room has it. But what was happening when we were kind of struggling with the Orcus Mystic section is any damage that happened after Mephisto's first instance of clearing max health, that would get 100% cleaned, healed up if you didn't beat the node, right? So if I go with Mephisto and I use my basic into a gladiator, but I lose the matchup, that gladiator is going to go back to 100% life. It doesn't matter if I hit him with Kang after Mephisto. It doesn't matter if I hit whatever damage I went into the gladiator, as long as he doesn't die, gets healed up on the second attack.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind that that's another reason to watch the tournament to see how this room works if you hit it on the second attack. I don't think this is that impactful overall. Like that room 1 is like bonkers, right? So what is your plan going to be here? And I'll show you what my plan is going to be here. And then of course this is going to be different on 32 than on season 14. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm kind of going El Cheapo here because I expect that whatever I put in here will get one shot. I'm not too worried about trying to take advantage of
Spoilers.
any sort of issues. Yeah, it happened to me too earlier.
Spoilers, right? All right, there we go. You guys like, okay, there we go. So
yeah, I'm doing the exact same team as you, going El Cheapo on it.
Yeah, so this is a nothing room, and of course you're gonna have to put something a lot stronger here in Ultimate 32. I think in Ultimate 32 it's gonna be like an Odin team, a Mephisto team, and then maybe like a Super Skrull Annihilator team are gonna be like the 3 teams on defense, something bonkers, right? It's like, and so this is just kind of like I think this is a filler room. This is the closest thing to filler room. Now let's go to room 4, which is going to be the third room in Ultimate 32. Lower the focus by 500%, 5,000%, and damage by 50% for any non-Mephisto character that takes a turn before any character on defense. So we know what this is. We've seen this mechanic. Explain what that is.
Yeah, this is the Cosmic Ghost Rider war mechanic. Essentially, you're just not going to land debuffs until one of your enemy teams have taken a turn. So in Cosmic Ghost Rider, because that out of time team is so tanky, they actually let you kind of beat them up for a while, but they're taking such little damage, you get landing none of your control effects, and then they counterpunch the ever-living heck out of you. And that's exactly what they're trying to let any team that goes into this room do. And as soon as we saw this, you're like, okay, so we're putting Black Knight in there, right? And I hit my button, I'm like, yeah, look what I put in here. Because I think this could be a way to counter the Starjammer's main use.
Yeah, and it's funny is like we kind of like hit a couple light bulbs when we were doing your video because I hadn't seen your teams. We had come to similar conclusions, but then like Black Knight was a no-brainer for me in this, and you had already decided that. But Kahorian 1 was one that we kind of came to a different conclusion on. So yeah, I think this is going to be a booger. This is going to make Black Knight more effective in this team comp. You were talking about Starjammers. Yeah, Starjammers are not, that was one of the main things that they changed on Havoc's kit was to have kind of like an anti-Black Knight on Havoc's turn 1 ult, right? Because he goes first in the match. This should offset that. And boy, the thing is, Odin needs to take a turn, right? And this should allow that to happen. I still think there might be I've got an idea how to beat this, but not going to be easy. Not a guaranteed one shot, that's for sure. But definitely getting. Yeah, I think I have a plan to get through all of this, and maybe not Odin. Does that make sense? I think I have a general plan to get through this. So
that's what everyone was doing before Starjammers came out, right? We're all kind of like, okay, this could work, but worst case scenario is just going to be Odin left.
Yeah, I think this might. Maybe Starjammers will be able to go through this. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, we're not sure how strong Starjammers are going to be. So that's the other thing. Yeah. In addition to the new room rules and KNULL in this tournament, the reworked Starjammers will be in this tournament for the first time as well. Let's go to the other 3 rooms that are going to be.
Wait. Do stage 2 last. That's a good stage. You got Nightmare Fuel in stage 2. You got to do that one last.
Well, they already saw.
That's true.
They already saw. We kind of ruined the video by. It doesn't matter. All right. So this is kind of a nothing burger room, in my opinion. Unturn, clear all negative effects from self. Heal self 10% of max health for each negative effect cleared. Also worth noting. On all characters on turn end gain defense down, so that kind of like lends itself to immunity safeguard type thing. These are the season rules, which I think these season rules were designed before Starjammers got reworked, because I think there's an inclination now to keep them together with the way Howard the Duck's passive works, and so this I think was in place to maybe create some theory crafter and breaking the team up on piercing damage, which they have piercing damage in a lot of different places on their kit. Apply bleed on defense, and then so that is the thing that is for the entire season. I don't think that's that impactful either. I think that's kind of cool, super situational, maybe useful. But so this is a nothing room. Would you agree? Kind of a nothing room, mostly.
Yeah, I'd say nothing wrong, because the mutant characters we have, at least until Professor Ice comes, which I guess he might actually come before the end of the season for like the biggest of the biggest spenders, right?
Right.
But until that, like most of our mutant teams that you put together, they're so stat crept. Like besides Shadow King, do we have an Immortal, but they're an offensive team. We don't really have a post Ares mutant teams yet.
Yeah.
So they just don't really mesh well.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just went to. I hate everybody. Put Starjammers on defense. I don't know that this is the right play right here. So yeah, and then Havoc right there is a mutant. So we're just gonna try this out, and I have if this doesn't work for me in round 1, I'm gonna be taking this off of defense and putting something post Ares here, maybe like Liberty or something chunky here. I don't have a good plan for this yet. All right, so Spider-Man's Web Trap, this is your room rules because you won the last season. I think, your son named it Spider-Man, but they were going to call it Dorky's Headset.
Dorky's Broken Headset.
Dorky, yeah, because there was a situation where, if you haven't seen the clip, oh my God. Anyways, Old Man Logan was not working correctly and you lost because of an unknown interaction with Old Man Logan. It was bugged essentially, and you broke your headset, which was
okay. Context is king. Okay? It was the first ever Envoy tournament.
Yeah,
it was the first round. It was the first match I took. And he was bugged. It wasn't working the way he said. They did a text change, so he was actually just made more powerful by that. And my Batman Lego Bat was made a lot less put together because of that.
Yeah,
which I thought it was funny. But my son wanted Spider-Man.
I was thoroughly enjoyed, and I think we were on Twitch. I'm going to guarantee that's your number 1 viewed Twitch clip. It has to be. Has to be, yeah. Oh, easily. Okay, so explain what you were thinking when you made this.
Okay, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to just eliminate all the kind of speed shenanigans that we're so familiar with, right? So we get rid of speed bar up and down. That'll be your Howard the Duck. That'll be your Super Scroll. It's Captain Britain's passive, right? And then speed up and slow, they're annoying as well. So let's just take them out. So if you have speed up, you actually lose 50% of that speed. So it just cancels itself out. Same as slow. Instead of being slowed 50%, you're going to gain 50% speed, just cancels itself out. Now, what they didn't put in here that I did ask for, which I think was actually the right move by them, by the way, is speed stat changes are still available here. That's your old school Emma. That's your Man Thing beefing up your Night Stalker's speed stat. That's your Havoc beefing up his Starjammer speed stat. So there is still a couple like all-star teams to put in here. And it should just kind of break up some counters and add a little bit more flavor to Crucible, I think.
Okay, so teams that are going to do well here are going to be Night Stalkers, Orcus, Emma, and anything that manipulates the speed stat, not speed bar, speed stat is going to do well. Or characters that are just naturally fast, right, are going to do well here. Initially, I saw you putting Night Stalkers here. I'm going to save Night Stalkers for offense, and I'm going to be doing Orcus, Mysterio. Explain why Mysterio is helpful here.
Yeah, Mysterio drops in 3 of his duplicates, right? And that gives speed bar to Nimrod. Now, a little known fact here is one of the most important characters this season is going to be Emma Frost X-Men because she stops speed stat gain, but she only checks for speed stat gain on spawn. So when the duplicates come in after spawn, Nimrod, in this case, he should still actually experience his speed stat gain. He might be the fastest character in the game in this room if they didn't fix that Emma Frost X-Men interaction.
Yeah. So there you go. That is room 6. So that's why I'm using that there now. And this is also kind of a nothing team not a nothing team, but an extra team, right? And I think it's going to bang for the buck. It's going to be the most effective here in room 6. Yes. It's going to take a stronger team to beat it than the team is in itself, if that makes any sense. Did I explain that pretty much correctly? Like, you're gonna, you're going to need something chunky. And then lastly, we've had this room before. This was in room 6, 2 seasons ago, if I remember correctly. Yeah,
it was the U32 third room.
Okay, U32 third room. I remember, and this actually. This room ended up playing out differently than I thought. All right, gain 50% max barrier. On spawn, bury yourself for 100% of the character's max health. And then gain 100% damage. And then on ally death, bury yourself for 100% of that character's max health. Now, there's 2 things I want to say about this room before I ask what you think about it. Characters, typically, the default is 30% max barrier. Right, 30% of the max health. So this is making it go from 30% to 50% to up to 80%. A million exceptions to that, right? I just want to say, if a character says nothing at all, the barrier's capped at 30%. Secondly, when we had this the last time, which was, you corrected me, it was season 32, the last time that we had the 3 rooms, the 100% damage was way more important. I remember that creating situations because when you're attacking, you're trying to go early and eliminate people, and that 100% damage was actually more of a factor than all of this barrier stuff. So what are you thinking here?
Yeah, so in here, I'm doing what we did in the U32 tournament, for what we did for a little bit there, which was Annihilators with Super Skrull and Spider-Man Path. So very similar to what you're doing, but we got a new big bad to play around with here. And this is going to be interesting because if you're not familiar with KNULL's kit, which is fair because he's brand new, he gains 10% speed stat for every single symbiote, which Gore is a symbiote. So he's going to have 127 starting speed plus 10%, so plus 12.7. And if KNULL ults with 100% damage, good luck. And honestly, if you tried to mirror this, you just want to bring in more symbiotes to make your KNULL go faster, then endgame Thanos smashes you down with his big passive on 100% damage. So this is an absolutely scary team. And that doesn't even take into account the Super Skrull here. Like this team you have here may very well require the use of Starjammers, because even Immortal X-Men, KNULL's going to go before them.
Yeah, this
Spooky.
is going to create. I mean, because this is a little different than what you're doing, and you went definitely more offense minded than I did. You have a null offense team, and then you were doing something here, and so I kind of went the the burn it to the ground strategy. You know what I mean? Like I woke up
Yeah,
on
you
the
did.
wrong side of the bed with this strategy here. We'll have to see how this plays out. Gonna be a fun one today. You're trying to become the 3-time. I'm trying to become the 1-time in this tournament. So like I said earlier, new season rules, reworked Starjammers, null gameplay, all will be in effect. And next round of Cosmic Crucible in game will be a 32, which is a 5-day tournament with 3 total rooms using rooms 1, 3, and 4. So we talked about those, but I got to say that our suggestions here are quite a bit softer than what you're going to want to do because it's half as many teams. So you're going to be using the top teams rather than some of these B tier teams in those rooms. Anything you want to say before we go?
No, guys, come check us out on Twitch during this tournament. It's always super hyped. There's going to be promo codes. They're going to be giving away lots of stuff. There's going to be lots of people getting angry because these rooms are crazy. And I assume there's going to be lots of funny losses to watch.
Yeah, Twitch drops too. 700 power cores and Ms. Marvel skin, which is the black and gold 7th anniversary costume. Okay, bye for now.